Hello friends, I hope everybody's doing good. Okay, so the second new carburetor has arrived, and I was right about the choke linkage. Now, in one of the videos, I ordered the wrong carburetor. So what I did was I switched over the choke linkage here. I switched that over. But I didn't switch over the throttle linkage here. And I stand to be right. When you start the engine, and the governor will have the throttle set at full throttle, and then once the engine starts, the governor will pull the linkage, the rod off to normal running RPM. And that lever on the throttle acts as like a choke pull-off as soon as the engine starts and the governor pulls the rod down. I'll show you better here. And then you can see the choke flap comes off. Now, because I didn't change the throttle lever here, it didn't have that other piece on the lever here to act as a choke pull-off. Now, that is no excuse for when we put the wrong carburetor on, the first new carburetor on there. It was choking out. It was choking like it should on the cold start. But the problem was that it was taking 3 and 4 pulls to start it up initially. So I think that first carburetor, the first new carburetor, was just a hunk of junk right from the beginning. And I think if I changed the throttle linkage too, I think it would have still been a problem. Because it was, even after we started it up and warmed it up and the choke came off, sometimes it took 2 and 3 pulls to get it started again. So what we'll do now is we'll go outside and we'll install this and we'll see how it does now. Okay, so this is the first carburetor that I ordered that was wrong. And this was set up for a manual choke, but this machine has an automatic choke. So what I did was I just changed the choke linkage here, but I didn't change the throttle linkage. So if you notice on this carburetor, the carburetor flap's not opening here. But since this machine was just so hard to start on the cold start, there's no reason why you shouldn't have started on the cold start, because the choke is closed. And then we let it warm up, and the thermo wax choke stove did what it had to do, and then the choke was open, and then I shut it off, and then on a warm start it was still having a hard time starting. But you could see there, had it been okay on the cold start and the warm start, I would have just went ahead and changed the throttle linkage too, so we would have a choke pull off here. So the choke will pull off about so much here. So alright, so right now I have the new carburetor. I started mounting it, and for those of you that are just joining me for this, I'll show you the configuration of how you want to put this back together. It would be the same thing, taking it apart, and do yourself a favor and take some pictures, because there's a gasket, then there's the choke mechanism, then there's another gasket, then there's the carburetor, then there's another gasket, and then the air filter box too. So let me see if I can get you situated here. We'll get this thing back together, and hopefully it's okay by now already. The first carburetor cost $16 and change. The second carburetor, the right one, that costed $23 and change. That second carburetor that we're using now that I ordered, the only difference with that was it came with a fuel shut-off tap. on that, but it came with the spark plug, fuel line, air filter, spark plug, and the gasket set. So let me get the camera up closer and then we'll put this thing back together and let's hope for the best with this. It's got to get out for sale already. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is, which I did it already because my eyes are pretty bad. The first thing you want to do is take your new carburetor and the governor rod has a Z-bend in it, so you just want to tilt the carburetor to the right like this. Get that started, then put your governor spring on there. And then what I did was I went ahead and I hooked up the fuel line to the carburetor also. If you guys want to just be on the safe side and change all the gaskets, it's a good idea. But I'm using the old gaskets. They're in very good condition. The one gasket here is stuck already to the engine here. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to get this situated here. So we know the gasket's good on the engine, so there's a gasket for that. Then there's another gasket back here. You want to get that gasket on here. And also there's another gasket in here which has a hole. You just want to make sure the hole is lined up with the hole in the carburetor here. So what we're going to do is we're going to feed these bolts through here. Okay, so we fed the bolts through there. And now you got the carburetor here that we don't have a gasket for. I think I put the bolt. Let me get these bolts in right here. Alright, so the bolts are sticking through here. So what you want to do is put this gasket on here. That's where you want to take pictures and make sure you put the gaskets on, right? I'm probably forever in your way here. Okay, so now we got that gasket on. And now we have the choke mechanism here. The thermo wax choke stove is what pushes this linkage to open the choke here. I'm just showing, you guys, those that are just joining me here, I'm just showing you how to do it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start the bolts into the engine just a little bit. And then you're going to want to hook up your breather hose to the air box here. It's easier to do that when before you screw the carburetor all the way on. So just do it all by hand. You don't want to strip anything. Don't forget about using your power tools when you're doing this. I think I got the bolt started in here pretty good. Then you want to just, you'll feel the tube coming off this, and then of course you have the hose, and then just get it started on there and push it all the way on. Okay, we're good with that. Another good idea is make sure your throttle linkage is good. Okay, so I'm just going to bolt this thing all back together. I'll put the new air filter in it. I'll put the cover back on with the recoiler, and that's only 3 nuts that hold that on. And let's hope for the best with this stupid thing already. Okay, so I'll make a playlist on the 6-part series on this if anybody cares to watch any of it. So we should be able to start this up. We should be able to not have any sputtering because of the choke pull off. We have a choke pull off now. And I'll let it run. First I'll start it up, I'll let it run for a minute or so, and then I'll shut the camera off. I'll let it warm up real good, and then we'll see how it starts on the warm start. So let's keep our fingers crossed, and let's hope for the best with this thing already. Alright, so do yourself a favor and make sure you order the right carburetor in the first place. If you order the wrong carburetor and you want to change the choke linkage and accelerator linkage, change them both. You know, the throttle linkage and the choke linkage. Change them both. So we're going to do a warm start up now. And then after this, to conclude the video, I'll show you what came in the box for the second new carburetor. Okay, so out for sale it goes. All right, let me just move you over here. I'll show you what we got here. I can't even pronounce the name. H-U-Z. What is this? H-U-Z. Yeah, H-U-Z-T-L. It's funny writing, I can't read it. Okay, so it came with an air filter, new air filter. But this air filter, the old one was like new, but I put the brand new filter on it. The more you could tell people you did to the machine when you're selling it, the better. Okay, so this is the gasket set here that we never used. It also came with a piece of fuel line here. The fuel line, this machine didn't have many hours on it. The fuel line that was on there was really good, so I didn't change it. It came with a spark plug that we're not going to use here. Came with an inline fuel filter. I never seen anybody ever put them on. Maybe it's a good idea to put that on. I don't know. And this one here, unlike the first carburetor, the wrong carburetor I ordered, came with a fuel top. You know, the shut off. Which there's no problem with that one, so we left it. So this is the first carburetor. I'm just gonna hang on to it because I could probably use parts off it or whatever. My personal opinion is that I don't think this carburetor was any good from the beginning here. And out for sale it goes. That's it. We're done. So if you didn't follow along in the first 5 videos in the series, what I did was we got the engine and running right finally. Well, even before we did that, I changed the oil on it. I serviced the height adjusters. I took the cover off for the drive belt. I cleaned that all out. I inspected the drive belt. I sharpened the blade. Off camera I did it. What else do we do? Yeah, the height adjusters, change the oil. These are all the things you want to do for a machine that you want to resell. Or even on your own personal machine, you might want to do this every couple of years. Depending on how much you use the machine. If you use it a lot, like once a week, you could change the oil and the spring. Always make sure your oil's full, you know. Sometimes you got one that burns oil a little bit, so you might want to check the oil once a month or whatever. And I hope this helps somebody out. Moral of the story, like I said, make sure you order the right carburetor in the first place. Had the machine started up, even though we just changed the choke linkage. Had the machine started up good when it was cold, and then when it was warmed up, when the choke was off, had it started up good, I would have just went ahead and changed the throttle linkage and be done with it. But that wasn't the case here. So I want to thank everybody for watching as usual. All your comments to help me out when I put that help video up, they were all good comments, and we checked everything over in that video. Well, I guess in the next video. Yeah, that video. We checked everything out that everybody suggested. Everything was fine. The gaskets were fine. The thermo wax choke stove, I call it, that's fine. And thanks for watching. I'll see you all on the next one, as I probably just said already. And take care.